Big problems at the White House as the relationship between the president and the vice president continues to deteriorate even faster than Joe Biden. We've got a lot of stories to get to today. We're going to start off by seeing that these two are not even having lunch anymore. Real Clear Politics is saying they were supposed to meet to talk about the nation's affairs. They're not doing that anymore, largely because they hate each other. It's gotten so bad that two authors were on Meet the Press over the weekend saying that when Kamala Harris walks into a room at the White House, Biden staffers don't even stand up and get out of their chair, which they should, but they're just like, they're so annoyed. Kamala's here. They're like, what do you want? We're busy. Yeah, it's over there. I told you 3 times, get out of here. She's so annoying, isn't she? So it's very disrespectful to her, and she is not happy about it. So they're actually having meetings at the VP's office and the West Wing. So we'll go through that. All this probably because Kamala's very little touchy about some of these poll numbers, 17% under Michelle Obama, who's at a solid 23%. She's like, this is ridiculous. I'm the vice president. Not even fair. And Buttigieg are close behind her. And they're all very unhappy about the forthcoming red wave. Over on Meet the Press, they're having a conversation about some of the tension in the White House. Here's how it sounds according to these authors.
Kamala Harris felt disrespected. Here's one anecdote you have. Harris worried that Biden's staff looked down on her. She fixated on real and perceived snubs in ways the West Wing found tedious. When Harris walked into a room, the White House staff did not stand up the way they did for Biden. The vice president took it as a sign of disrespect. What was astonishing here is apparently there was a meeting about this.
Wow. So Biden is sitting there with his staff. Kamala walks in. The staff just stays seated. Kamala says, wait a minute, I'm the vice president. You're supposed to stand up. And I think that maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know decorum, but I think you might stand up for the vice president.
Here's one anecdote you have. Harris worried that Biden's staff looked down on her. She fixated on real and perceived snubs in ways the West Wing found tedious. When Harris walked into a room, the White House
West Wing felt tedious, so they were unhappy that Kamala was annoyed.
Staff did not stand up the way they did for Biden. The vice president snubs in ways the West Wing found tedious. When Harris walked into a room, the White House staff did not stand up the way they did for Biden. The vice president took it as a sign of disrespect. What was astonishing here is apparently there was a meeting about this.
Yes, the chief of staff to Kamala Harris telephoned the West Wing and told a senior advisor in the West Wing to Biden, the VP has noticed this, and she would like folks to stand, staff members to stand when she enters the room.
Kamala, unhappy with the disrespect. She wants you to stand up. Do you know who I am? I'm the vice president. You better get your butt up out of that chair and stand for me, such that there was a phone call from her office over to Biden. Oh, that's just hysterical. Yikes. When you have to ask for it, you know it's pretty bad. I remember a phrase from when I was a boy. Somebody taught me that if you want self-esteem, do esteemable things. If you want respect, do respectable things, and so on and so forth. And that always resonated with me. But that person who comes out and demands respect or demands that you do something for them that they really haven't earned, everybody scoffs at that person, which is exactly what's happening in the White House, which is hysterical because we're also scoffing at Kamala. Let's wrap this one up.
This pulls back the curtain on what this White House is really like. The tensions are deep and they are real between the VP's office and the West Wing. Obviously, the public image is what it is, but this is an ongoing challenge. And what is hovering over all of this, Chuck, is 24.
So clear.
Is Biden going to run again? And if not, is it going to be VP Harris? That is the mood music hanging over the entire Democratic Party right now, as are Biden's poor numbers.
Kamala Harris.
Pathetic. That's all they're doing is they're just jockeying around for positions. Speaking of that, let's take a look here. We know that 2024, if Joe Biden is not running, and obviously he's not going to run, there's no way that he runs. I will be out of my mind giggling if they put him up there again, because it's just clear as day that he's not there, unfortunately for America. Here we see the polls are telling us M. Obama, who's that? Oh yeah, Michelle, who's not going to run, 23%. And Harris is beneath Michelle. Probably unhappy about that. She should be sort of, cleaning up the rest of the field. There shouldn't be any of these other people. She should be the next in line. It should be 50% if Joe Biden doesn't run. But nobody likes her. That's the problem. Not even Joe. So she is now at 17%. She's unhappy about it. And so all this sniping back and forth over at the White House, we see they were supposed to be having lunch together. They're not doing that anymore. Biden promised once a week with VP Harris, but Not happening. They've had 2 this entire year, and this article came out April 28th, 2022. Joe Biden takes lunch seriously. His vice president, which is typical of a bureaucrat, says his weekly lunch with Obama wasn't just a meal. It was a meeting where they really got things done, I'm sure. A moment set aside on the calendar for the 2 men to break bread and build out an agenda. Now, we have been checking on our headline show that we do here on our channel, Joe Biden's calendar from time to time, and they're right. We have not seen that at all. We've seen joint briefings and things, but no lunches. Set aside on the calendar to break bread and build an agenda. The weekly meal was so important to Biden that he carried over the tradition to his own presidency. He said, quote, "I made the same deal with her that Barack and I made." He said of his newly minted vice president just weeks after his inauguration. That meant drop-in privileges at the Oval Office, where nobody stands up for you, and carte blanche over executive office meetings, where nobody respects you. Biden told People magazine, lunch alone once a week. It's now May. It's happened twice. That's the deal when we're both in the country, he explained, which will be for a while because of COVID. And I see her all the time. Didn't work out. But according to a review of the public schedule by Real Clear Politics, they've only sat down for lunch twice this year, a significant drop compared to the 12 times they had meals last year, which is not a lot. For Biden and Harris, lunch this year followed major developments. 2 shared a meal on February 8th, where they were looking for the new replacement to retiring Justice Stephen Breyer, and another one after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. White House aides insist that the executive lunches, while important, are not the ultimate barometer of cooperation between the two. No, don't listen to the news. They like each other a lot. They're very nice. The president and the vice president are in constant touch with each other, said Chris Meager over to RCP, and he relies on her counsel, partnership, friendship as they work together and continue to grow the economy, blah, blah, blah. Still, the lack of a lunch comes amid whispers of a rocky start to their working relationship. Biden has tried to duplicate the dynamic with Harris that he enjoyed with Obama, but reportedly has not been able to recreate that same sense of camaraderie. Skipping lunch may have been a bit of a blessing in disguise then, as Harris tested positive for COVID on Tuesday. According to Vice President's office, she remains asymptomatic, in good spirits. They're in close contact, Psaki told the Real Clear Politics. Here they are over on The View.
And that's what shapes the Kamala Harris news here. She had only been in the Senate for a few years and doesn't have the relationships in Washington that Biden has. And so she was not able to kind of fill the role that Biden did when he was VP on Capitol Hill. And she didn't have the foreign policy experience either. So I think her challenge has been sort of finding her niche. And it's created
wasn't the border
tensions with the West Wing. We have a scene in the book in which she's feeling disrespected because she sees staffers in the West Wing when she walks into the room who are not standing for her. And they always stand for President Biden when he walks into the room. And she had her chief of staff telephone somebody in the West Wing and say, she's noticed this. Please tell the staff when the VP walks into the room, they are to stand.
And let's face it, there is the unmistakable context of identity for this too, right? That the Biden inner circle is overwhelmingly white. It is largely male, and they have largely been with Biden for.
And Biden, by the way, has laid down the law in that regard. We have a scene in the book where Biden tells people plainly, tells his staff plainly, I should say, if I hear about any of you leaking about the vice president, you're fired. So
Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, not getting along at all. Not a surprise. Who else is getting along in this administration? Why would they be getting along? It's a catastrophe. It's a dumpster fire. Everything is melting down all around them, and they're going to be pointing fingers at one another. And quite frankly, Kamala Harris is probably going to be very happy to be distanced from Joe Biden. Why? His policy has been a disaster. They're going to get blown out at the next elections and probably the following one. And if she wants a chance at winning, she's going to have to distance herself from Joe. She's already doing that, presumably now. We'll continue to follow it. But Joe Biden and Kamala, no more lunch dates. I'm sure you're as shocked as I am. We'll continue to cover this. I hope you join us on that journey. I would love it if you subscribed before you got out of here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.